this is Sabina at Cross Keys Crafts. Today's video is inspired by a video that I saw yesterday, which is the day before I filmed this, not the day before I post this. And it's on a YouTube channel called Meerkat Makes by Elle, by a lady called Laura. And she made this card using a die that did all the mechanism for you. But I thought, no, I can actually do that without having any specialty dies. It's very simple to make, I think, but is quite effective. So I've already prepared a few things, as you can see. So I'll show you the first, or the background, the base card first. And for that you need 2 pieces of cardstock. I cut them from a 220 GSM, so it's fairly sturdy, but it doesn't really matter. You just don't want it to be too flimsy because you want it to be able to stand up afterwards. One piece is 8.5 inches by 6 inches. By the way, this then creates a 4 by 6 inch card. And the other one is 8 by 6 inches. So this one is half an inch wider because we create a flap. And you score both cards at 2, 4 and 6. And to create the flap, the bigger piece of cardstock, you also score at 8. So as I said, I've already done this here, so that's a smaller piece. I scored at 2, 4 and 6. And I have created a mountain fold, a valley fold and a mountain fold, and then you basically get a 2-inch wide strip. That's the shape of an M. And you do the same thing with the other card. You create this M, but then you've got the flap here. So that's the base card, and all you need to do is to I also cut, by the way, I also cut 2 little wedges off there. And all you need to do is to adhere some glue here and to stick these 2 together so that you end up, let me just do this first. I'd actually do this off screen quickly and then I'll show you what they look like. So I'm glad I did this off screen because my glue was a bit temperamental. So I just used my quick grab glue, but can also use the acrylic glue like the Collal. So as I said, I've glued these 2 together. This will be in the back anyway, so nobody will really see this. And then you've got this shape here with the mountain, 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 and mountain. And that's your base. So for the toppers, I have taken 2 pieces. This was actually from one piece. Let me just move my camera forward a bit. This was actually from one piece of A4 cardstock, so I halved that. I basically checked that my oval die would fit the size. First of all, your oval die, or whichever topper you could have a rectangle, you could have a square, you could even have a circle. But mine, as you can see, the important thing is that it's not wider than 6 by 4 inches and not taller either, so that will fit nicely on one of those panels. And what I have done is I've taken that piece of cardstock, I scored it in the middle to fold it, and then I used my oval die and I made sure that I moved it over a bit on the side so that I've got a little piece here where it where it cut next to the score line, so that I would be left with this piece that's still attached in the middle. That's important. If you can't do that, you can always cut these separately, or especially if you've got cardstock that is not that size, and you could cut a little piece like a 1.5 by half by 1 inch, score that in the middle and basically create a little hinge that sits in the back. You could always do that, but I decided to cut mine in one go. So, and I created 2 of these. Just a little tip, because mine is not that nice. Because you cut this from the top, this bit here at the bottom, it is a bit, and that's the thing that will sit on the front as well, it's got imprints from my cutting board. So if your cutting board is like mine and you've got a lot of indentations in there, put some cardstock underneath or some paper just to protect this. I'm not too bothered at the moment because I will cover some of it anyway with my cardstock, but it's better if you do that and don't do what I did. So my nesting dies aren't really nesting dies. My oval dies, I've only got this, and this is the next one down. So if you have closer nesting dies, you could cut more mats, but I just decided to just have one topper in the middle of these. So I have cut from this paper pack, I have cut 4 ovals. I've got 2 of this cardstock here because I want to put my sentiments on these, and then I decided for these 2. You could have the same one, you could mix and match. I just quite like the pandas and the flamingos, and I cut it out because I've got quite a few pieces of paper. I cut them out, so I've actually got 2 full pandas on this one, and I've actually got 3 flamingos of this one. So I just didn't want to have any of these animals. Oh, I've got some obviously cut off, but I've got these sort of in the center, and that's what I wanted for these panels. Then, oh, one thing I forgot to tell you, this cardstock here, the yellow cardstock, that's just from the works. I got this for 50p. That's 200 GSM. It's not a super duper cardstock for doing a lot of work on, but it's fine as the base layer for this sort of work. And it doesn't feel like it's 200 GSM. It feels actually a bit slimmer. Then, as one of my sentiments, I have die cut this happy birthday. I think you've seen that before. It's one of my favorite dies. And at first I wanted to have a white panel in the center here and have a stamp on that, but I couldn't really find anything that size. But what I did find in my stash, because I only just bought it, is this Enjoy the Day. And this is from a Care Bear stamp set. So that's at the top there. And I'm going to link to that below. I recently got 2 stamp sets there, and I really like these. I actually Googled for Care Bear stamp sets, and I found this, and I really, really like this. Getting a bit nostalgic about that. One little thing I wanted to give you as a little tip. When I first stamped this, I had a funny thing here, and I was worried that the stamp was actually damaged, but I found there was actually some excess silicone on it that I could just rub away, and then the second stamp was really nice. I do have pink dye to stamp, sorry, pink ink, but I decided to have a different color here. But in order to tie this in with this, I thought I just cut this out on a strip of paper. I used my corner rounder there, and I just glued it onto the pink cardstock, the same as this one, and now I can cut it to size, and then I thought I use it at an angle, or maybe even straight, because I've got the full shape there actually to play with. So that's just a little tip. If you want to tie in colors but you don't have the right color for your inks, you can always work with the cardstock in the background. So all that's left to do for me now is to assemble these and to cut this, which I'm going to do first, and I'll show you then how to glue these onto these. I don't really need to show you this, I think I'll do that off screen, but then I'll show you how to attach them to the base card to get the special effect. So I've glued all these down now. By the way, I made sure that the pieces that were on top in the die cutting machine are on the outside, so it's a bit more symmetrical, because they actually do have a little sort of embossed line around it, and I wanted it to be a bit more even. And these are the pieces that are actually a bit scruffy, because I don't know if you can see that, because they have been upside down, but never mind. I thought though that this piece looks a bit bare now because this is so fallen. I like a symmetrical card. So I thought, at first I looked through the papers whether there's anything I can cut out, which you can do. So you can cut out elements from your pattern paper. But I remembered I've got nesting dies that are balloons in different sizes. So I just cut the smallest one from another piece of cardstock from the pattern paper. So I've got 2 little balloons that I can stick down now, and you can see all of a sudden it's a bit more balanced because a bit more is going on. And I'm just going to draw the ribbon here and the twine just going down with my black pen. So I shall do this again off screen. You don't need to watch me do that, and then I'll show you how to assemble it. So that's my balloons finished. I quite like the look of these. So now what I need to do is, on the outer piece, I need to put glue on the back, but only on this half. So I'm using my collard glue because I've got a bit of wriggle room, and I'd rather not go right too close to the middle. It'll be fine if I just go up, I don't know how much far that is, like even half an inch from the middle. That would be fine. I hope you can see that, because with the collard glue it'll be sturdy enough and it will hold it down. So now I'll take my card and I'm going to press this down a little bit, and I want to make sure this is straight, so don't twist it, and I want to set it. I should explain that in a moment. I just press it down now and I'll explain in a moment what I'm doing. So don't bother about this side at all. I'm making sure that the gap here at the top and the bottom is the same one, and I'm sort of putting it in a bit from the side. It doesn't really matter. By the way, I forgot to tell you how wide my oval is. My oval piece here is 3 and, oh, I'm not very good with measurements, 3 3/8. Yeah, so that's just to give you an idea. But it doesn't really matter, as long as I said, as long as it's not wider than the 4 inches. So I'm leaving this to sit for a moment. So, and what I need to do now is I put glue on the other bit. Now making sure, see what I've done it a bit wrong because it's a bit out of place there, and that's a good thing about using the collard glue. You can move it just a little bit still. So make sure it's even on this side as well. You want this one to be straight. So I can move it just a little bit. That's better. Should have paid attention to that. So don't do what I just did before. Just make sure this is straight. As I said, forget a bit about how this fits here, but you want this to be straight. It is a bit easier, I think, if you've got a rectangle or a circle die, but as I said, the most important thing is that this is straight. So now I put glue on this half here. And I'm now moving this here over to glue this down. So, and I want a similar width to the other side, similar width here, and again, said I need to make sure top and bottom are similar. I don't want to have this very uneven. And it looks a bit like, oh, how can you fold it? But the thing is, it will fold like this, so I can actually, to be honest, if I press it down like now, it will actually press itself in place. So maybe that's the best way to do it. And this is how it will open up. So, should do it again on the other side. So I start with the outside. So this time I'm paying attention that this score line is straight. And if I sit this down here, I can check it at the same time. So press this down, make sure it adheres properly, and then I can fold this over, put the glue here. So, and then align this here. Before I stick it down, I make sure I can close it like this. And as you can see, I don't know if you could see that, it's a bit unaligned here, so I can actually push this up a little bit, make sure this is straight, and then I can press it down. And there we go. That's all there is to it. So it is it's a bit different gap here and there, but I think it doesn't really matter. So, and this all folds, if I say it folds flat, it actually has got quite a bit of bulk to it, but the size is just 6 by, actually just over 3.5 inches, but that's due to the width of my oval die, so you could have it wider. So there we go. I think it's quite effective when you open it. I shall take a photo afterwards, and this is what it looks from the top. So it actually stands up, and it's meant to be a card that you actually sit up. And then if you wanted to write some greetings with lots of space on the back, I would probably put another panel on the back and write the greetings on that. So there you go. If you like this card, you might want to give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more of what I'm creating, I post videos about 2 to 3 times a week. Then you might want to subscribe to my channel. I'd be very happy about that. And I'll see you soon with another video.